Welcome, everybody, to this week's episode of Den Excelsior, the mostly Marvel podcast. Emphasis on the mostly. This week, with you as always is, or with me as always is Dennis. I'm Ricky, of course. What are we talking about today?
Well, I'm glad you said the mostly. Like, look, this is like episode 115.
Yeah.
In general, whenever we have the opportunity, we try to talk about some Marvel show or movie that's come out, or when we don't have those, we try to lean on DC or Image or whatever other comic book story there is going on. But when we don't have any of those to talk about, then we start picking hero stories. And I handpicked one for Ricky this week that I feel he has dodged for too long in his life. We are going to be talking about Die Hard with Bruce Willis and Alan Rickman. We'll be talking about that later today on the show. I'm excited to talk to Ricky about that because sometimes we throw him some really bad old movies. I don't think this is a really bad old movie. I just got done rewatching it and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Ricky, you're gonna get a lot of hate if you hated this movie. I promise you. I promise you that's
gonna happen. Stay tuned to find out if I hated Die Hard.
It's gonna be rough. It's gonna be rough. But yeah, in the meantime, I mean, we can talk about what else we've been nerding out on. Ricky, I was just talking to you before the show. You said you haven't played a video game since Tuesday. What have you been doing if you haven't been playing any games or enjoying Die Hard?
And I watched Die Hard. So that was my Thursday. My Wednesday, though, I got to go to a screening of this week's episode of Godzilla, or it's Monarch Legacy of Monsters.
Monarch.
Yeah, the Godzilla TV show. And the cast was there, and that was cool. It was cool to be in a tiny theater with Kurt Russell and his son and company.
Okay.
I think even if the show was ass, to just be in the presence of is Kurt Russell a Hollywood legend?
Yeah, he's up there with Bruce Willis for sure.
Yeah, like,
he's been working longer than Bruce Willis for sure.
Been working for a minute. He's made it this far without like a scandal, right?
Yeah, because I think he's still with Goldie after all these years.
Yeah, he's still they're not married, but they're still together.
They've never been married. Yeah.
But so like he's Kurt Russell and his son Wyatt Russell play the same character in the show in different times, and apparently that's the first time that's ever been done in any professional capacity. So it's a kind of a neat.
You mean the first time Kurt and Wyatt have played each other's?
The first time any father-son duo, actor duo, has played the same character.
Really?
Yes, in the same project.
Really?
That's the fact that they threw out there. The moderator from the LA Times. So I'm gonna believe the LA Times on this one. The same character, not playing father and son, but they are playing the same character in the same show.
All right, I'll allow it, but I will be looking up the Sheens and the Estevezes later.
It was cool. It was cool it's always cool to see actors talk about their work, and they were actually surprisingly very they express because this is also Kurt Russell's first TV show since 60s, right? 70s, whatever show he was on back in the
TV show. Yeah, he doesn't do a lot of TV, man.
But they were talking about the struggles of the show was being written as they were filming and how that's a very new thing. But they sang praise to Matt Fraction to getting them where they needed to go. So that's my comic book tie-in for all of this. So go watch Godzilla if you haven't watched it yet. It's cool.
You mean Monarch? You keep saying
go watch Monarch, and I say that because Godzilla's not in the show. He's barely in the maybe 30 seconds of Godzilla in this show. There are monsters. Don't get me wrong. But yes, to your credit, it is Monarch Legacy of Monsters.
Because when you say go watch Godzilla,
That means a lot of things right now.
I did watch Godzilla. I went and saw Godzilla in theaters. I saw Godzilla -1. Yeah, like, so forgive me if I don't get excited when you talk seeing praises about Monarch. I don't give a good goddamn about a Godzilla story ever. I've never ever cared about that entire franchise. It does nothing for me.
Have you seen the first one?
I've seen a lot of Godzilla.
Have you seen the first one?
So you say yes.
Okay.
The original. You mean the original Japanese one?
The original Japanese one. Okay.
Yeah. Yes, I have seen it. I've watched it actually in a Japanese class for class. Yes. I don't care. I think the problem with Godzilla is it is a very specific Japanese story that's a really important part of their culture and how they've handled everything that happened post World War II. I think American audiences have kind of taken that and turned it into something.
There are multiple flavors of Godzilla out in the world right now. If it helps, I think Monarch Legacy of Monsters has half of the cast is Japanese and they're in Japan for
but like I just feel like there's actual interviews with the director of -1, and they never planned for it to be released in America like that. So he was making a very specific Japanese story about their culture and what the horrors of war mean to their society. And so he's actually like very curious how American audiences are going to receive this movie. Lo and behold, American audiences that love Godzilla love this movie. It's got like a 97% on Rotten Tomatoes. I just found it bored. I was yawning through the boring. I was yawning through the whole movie, but I do appreciate the human story in the movie. I think it's probably the best human story I've seen in a Godzilla movie. I have seen way too many Godzilla movies,
I honestly think you will like Monarch. The human stuff works really well.
No, I mean, in fairness, like the cool thing about the human story in -1, like, do you know anything about it?
No.
It's about it. So it's called -1. It's kind of like a prequel to the original Godzilla. So this takes place in the 1940s, the end of the World War II, when Japan knows they're losing this battle. I believe it's before Hiroshima and Nagasaki are bombed. But the signs are already there, like that they know the writing's on the wall. We're losing this battle. And I don't know if I'm sure you know what a kamikaze pilot is, right? Like it's a very specific thing to their culture that it's like you can't understand it unless I guess you were there and you were part of their culture, because it has to be indoctrinated.
It's like from my understanding, something that's more or less bestowed on you, and it's
like an honor, I guess.
Yeah,
right?
It's not a negative per se.
Right. Well, it is a negative if you're known to be selected to be a kamikaze pilot and you go off to war and then you come home.
Yes.
And that's what the main character is. He's a guy who chickened out. He chickened out and he ended up landing on a small island that is used for it's a repair base for kamikaze pilots. He lands there. The mechanics check out his plane and they're like, bro, there ain't nothing wrong with this plane. And he's like, what are you trying to say? Like he gets very defensive. And then before they can really call him out on whatever happens, Godzilla shows up, wrecks everything. This guy manages to survive, right? He doesn't know how. He, by the skin of his teeth, survives. And he ends up on a boat going back home to Tokyo. And when he gets home, everybody who knows him is like really disgusted by this guy, right? Like you should not be here. You should not be alive. if it wasn't for people like you, we would have won this war. And I think all of that is a really cool story. That's a really cool story. Like
It's just the Godzilla peppering. It's not what you're liking.
the Godzilla just doesn't do anything for me. Like I think that movie would have been a better movie without Godzilla in it.
That's fair. That's fair. I'm
Yeah.
I'm in the opinion that good Godzilla stories have very little Godzilla in them. So I think I will enjoy this movie. I do want to go see it in theaters, but
I just feel like if it's going to be a movie called Godzilla, you should care about Godzilla somehow, and I never do.
well, that's what that gets you. 1998 Godzilla.
Yeah, no.
Be careful what you wish for.
Yeah.
What else? Second Godzilla. I watched part of the Game Awards. That was Tuesday. We'll talk a little bit of that in the news. We did the Fortnite concert. So if you want to swing it back to Fortnite,
I wouldn't call it a concert, but
it wasn't. It was less of a concert. But
it was an event. I'm sorry you didn't make it into our group. I like you don't understand what a shit show that was for me. I
watched
kicked
it
out,
and I was like, okay, that was fun.
I got kicked out of the of every login all day long until 4 o'clock. It kept kicking me out and then sticking me back in an hour and a half long queue. And then when I finally logged in at 4, for some reason my wires got crossed and I thought the next event was at 5. No, it was at 8. And I was so afraid to log out that I just played that stupid game for 4 hours with my friends. And then that's why by the time you got on, I was already in a full group because like we were all afraid to log out. We were all just afraid to leave. and so we had a 4-person group by the time it was time. And we did it. We did the 11-minute,
it was probably the worst one. The worst.
Was it? I don't know if it was the worst one, but I think the circumstances made it feel
fair. Yeah.
Like the worst. You know what I mean? I liked it. I would have liked it a lot more if I managed to get in on the first run at 11 a.m., So, but I mean, it was a giant teaser for everything they're doing this week, right? Like that's all it was, which I think is really, it's something crazy to like, it really, you can't really encompass like the magnitude of what Fortnite is doing as a game in that little 11-minute thing. It doesn't do it justice, but like this week they unloaded like a Lego Minecraft ripoff like yesterday, and then a Mario Kart semi ripoff like with Rocket Racing
Well, I mean, if I think it for the uninitiated, I think Fortnite we're inching our way to the Ready Player One future.
It's been dystopia. There for a while. Yeah, it's there. Yeah. And then tomorrow they unload the rhythm game, the Fortnite music, festival. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's just nuts. Like my friend looked at like noon today and he was like, "Oh my God, there's 2.4 million people playing Lego Fortnite." And I'm like, "Yeah, that tracks."
Legos are popular.
Legos are very popular. Yeah.
The giant Legos stats behind.
And what's crazy is like you don't even have to spend money to play Lego Fortnite. You can just download Fortnite for free and then just start playing Legos, It's pretty crazy, man. So but yeah.
Let's get even crazier with some news. I think I hyped up.
I'm not looking forward to my supercut of all of your worst segues. Like,
I hyped up this news. I'm not gonna lie, it's not pretty crazy. Marvel settles in a fight over Spider-Man, and Doctor Strange writes. I don't know if you remember. I guess about a year ago now, the Steve Ditko estate sued Marvel over a handful of characters he created, basically citing or questioning the ownership on if they had ownership versus Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of a nothing story because they chose to settle for a undisclosed amount. and both parties leave happy.
That's how
So
Disney. That's how Disney plays
that's how
ball.
Disney plays ball. Spider-Man and Doctor Strange are staying at Disney for the foreseeable future. So
Yeah, they're never going away. They're never, ever, 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 ever. It's not going to happen.
lawyers will prevail.
Yeah, that's a dumb story. If I have to rate that the stories for the news,
Well,
I rate that as dumb.
this next
I
one's
mean,
pretty good. Did you watch the Game Awards at all?
no, but I looked up the winners last night right
Okay.
after it was over. I did see this though.
Okay, so Blade is getting his own single player third person action game set in Paris, being developed by Arcane Studios. If you those you play games,
Arcane Lion, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
They did what games?
Dishonored and Deathloop are their
Yeah, they did Deathloop. I know of
yeah.
Deathloop, and I
It's
played Dishonored.
being produced by Bethesda. So while they haven't said officially this game is like 2 or 3 years out, usually when stuff is by Bethesda now, that doesn't mean that doesn't bode well for us. Good things for us Sony folk.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't bode well for PlayStation owners. I saw that and I was like, oh well. But we'll see. We'll see. In fairness, Spider-Man is available on PC as well. So sometimes when you have licenses that big, like with the Marvel license, you're kind of obligated to like eventually push it out the door for everybody to play. So
Does God of War Blade excite you? That's what it sounds
God
like.
of War Blade?
God of War style Blade game, modern day God of War style Blade game.
I'm not going to say a Blade game doesn't excite me. I think a Blade game will be exciting. I think time will tell. Like, I think the thing is in general, when a game from like a beloved property is being made, I start wondering how big of fans are the people making it. You know what I mean? And that'll eventually show in the product, right? So Insomniac is clearly a fan of Spider-Man. Like,
so if this game does not have a blood rave, then
it doesn't need a blood rave. It just needs to. So Blade means a lot of things to different people, but I think it's pretty hard to unravel Wesley Snipes' stamp on Blade, the franchise, from the comics now, right? Because because Wesley Snipes is what he made it a household name, right? So yeah, you need something on par with a blood rave. I'm not saying you need a blood rave, but you need a nod to something. Like you need to feel that. You need to feel like if I want to play Blade, I want to play and feel like I'm Wesley Snipes. So I know that's like not necessarily a good take, but I'm just saying, like, that guy's Blade, dude. Like, that until Mahershala finally gets his movie out there, Wesley Snipes is Blade. Like, Sticky Fingers was okay, but he ain't Wesley Snipes.
Sticky Fingers, was he Blade? Was there another Blade?
He played Blade in the TV show on Spike.
Oh, okay, yeah, I forgot about the TV show.
It was a continuation of the movies, kind of. It was supposed to be like a continuation, but Sticky Fingers played Blade in that. He's all right, but he wasn't Wesley Snipes. So yeah, I'll withhold judgment until I see like actual gameplay.
Are we still doing the show by the time Blade comes out?
Probably.
That's real.
I mean, are we gonna watch Aquaman next week? Or is it next week or the week after?
2 weeks, 22nd.
Are we watching Aquaman in 2 weeks?
Yeah, we're watching Aquaman. Did we do a show on Aquaman 1?
No.
No.
We can.
We need something next week.
we can do a show on Aquaman 1.
Are you sure?
I think we have not done a show on Aquaman.
Oh man. All right.
Aquaman came out the same time as
Mando.
Into the Spider-Verse.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And we
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
we
It
only
came out
we
that
only
fall.
did it and we only did
That
it into
Christmas
this
show.
we started doing the Marvel show way after that, and then we did Into the Spider-Verse this year.
Oh,
Before,
we're gonna watch Aquaman, are we?
I mean, we can and unless you want if you want to watch something other than Aquaman, by all means. But I'm saying,
That's a long ass movie.
hey man, Die Hard was a long movie too.
No.
Yeah,
Is it?
Die Hard was 2 hours and 12 minutes long.
I'm looking up the runtime. I feel like Aquaman's like 3 hours.
Aquaman's like 2.5 hours. I want to see. It's like 2:30 something.
Aquaman is 2:23.
There you go. See,
you got me. You got me.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah. If we did Die Hard, we can do Aquaman.
You got me like Hans Gruber got John
McClane. but he didn't. So
he didn't.
I'm confused.
Yippee ki yay!
Oh man, this guy's wasting no time. He's ready to go.
We're talking about Die Hard this week. The 1988 classic starring Bruce Willis and Alan Rickman, directed by John McTiernan. Wait, yeah, McTiernan.
McTiernan. Yeah.
Yeah. A few questions. So I've seen Die Hard 3 or 4. The one with Justin Long. That's the only Die Hard I've seen since.
I've never watched that one in its entirety.
His daughter's old now. And Justin Long's there. But did you watch this movie when it came out in theaters?
Yeah, hell yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I did. Because in fairness, like John McTiernan, he makes pretty badass action movies.
What did he make before this?
Predator.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a pretty badass movie.
He also made Last Action Hero.
I have not seen Last Action Hero.
I think you would like that one. I used to not like that one when I was a kid.
I've seen the scene where he goes and runs into every other action hero.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. And I have no context for that, but I have seen that part.
But yeah, John McTiernan is fresh off the of making Predator, made this movie. Like,
okay. Was Bruce Willis a known quantity at this point?
He was a known quantity on TV. He was on a TV show. It was like kind of like a I wouldn't say rom-com. It was like a
he's like old. Not to say old, but he's not in his 20s in this movie.
He was on a show called Moonlighting, and he played like I want to say the show's like kind of like a romance, but like situational
like drama show.
It's a drama show. Yeah. But he's like sassy, he's like the sassy character on that show. And it's like the show your mom would watch, like your moms would watch Moonlighting. And not your mom. Your mom was too young to be watching Moonlighting, but like my mom would be watching Moonlighting. You know what I mean? And in theory, and so he had become pretty popular then. And then when he was cast for this movie, everybody was like, when they started airing the trailers for this, they're like, what? Like, that's the guy from Moonlighting. He's in, and like, there was a lot of people like naysaying and saying this guy can't do action movies. Like he doesn't even look like an action star, right? Because you got to remember at this time, Hollywood, like, and I think it's really clever that the movie actually references all of the big Hollywood action stars in it, right? Like they call him like, what are you, Rambo? What are you, John Wayne?
Yeah, he's not like he's fit, but he's not like jacked.
Yeah, he looks like a regular guy, right? But that's exactly why they cast him. They wanted somebody that played it more real, right? Like Rambo is not a human being, man. Like, no. I mean, like maybe in the first one, kind of, but like every Rambo movie after First Blood, he's not a human. Like, and
No.
it's kind of hard to argue the believability of Arnold Schwarzenegger in any of his movies ever, right? Like, there's you just love him because you love Arnold Schwarzenegger,
Yeah. Well, the
right?
Terminator
So
is like the best use case for him in terms
yeah,
of story.
yeah, exactly. So like, but I mean, but Predator's pretty badass too. Don't like, I mean, like
Predator's pretty badass. But
Predator's
like
a
what
badass movie.
the how and why he talks the way he does and why he looks the way he does.
You
I
just said
like the conceit they do in Predator and Terminator is great. He's a
they don't
robot.
even they don't explain it in other than he's a robot and that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, well, he has to fit, you know.
But that's what I'm saying. Like that's like all of the action movies at that time. The American audiences had a very specific expectation of what you see, you know, like what you're going to see. And so Bruce Willis like bucked that trend entirely. And it was a gamble and it paid off. Like, and it didn't just pay off for Bruce Willis. Like Alan Rickman was a theater actor before this movie, right? Like they saw, like the directors saw him in a play and were like, this is Hans Gruber, right? And I think the reason this movie is like, I know there's a lot of funny debates about like, it's a great Christmas movie. And like, that was kind of the conceit for why I got you to watch it. You know what I mean? But like, I just like it as an action movie, period. And it just happens to take place in Christmas. But like, to me, it doesn't really matter that it's a Christmas movie. What it matters is like,
it's not a Christmas movie, but I don't think that matters. It doesn't.
It movie starts and ends with Christmas music. I'm just saying.
That's not how that works.
They say Merry Christmas. They say Happy Holidays. They say season's
according
greetings.
to NPR, a Christmas movie is a movie set during the time of Christmas that also one of the core values of Christmas is part of the main plot. So if you can link this movie to a core value of Christmas, then
you can't. You're crazy.
No.
You're just spitting off what NPR says rather than thinking critically for yourself.
I mean, they do it for me. That's why I pay them every month.
Ricky, I don't want to have that argument that if it's not a Christmas movie to you,
I don't
fine.
think it is. I don't think it's a Christmas movie, but I did enjoy the movie.
Thank you.
Leave it there.
I appreciate that. But yeah, no, I think it's a really like, I mean, we both know, right? We both know the careers that both Alan Rickman and Bruce Willis had, right? It's sad to say, had, because like their careers are done, right? Like that's where we are now. Like, and I know that was part of a sticking point for you wanting to watch this movie, but like, I think of it as a celebration of the two of them, right? Because like, they were great in this movie, like the two of them, for being unknown actors virtually, you know, like in the movie space. Like,
well, I gotta like, to be honest, like, it's not to be like a joke, but like, it's like I think the first Bruce Willis movie I've seen where he has hair.
Yeah,
so like, gotta remember, Bruce Willis came into my life as like, you know, early 2000s, like
Pulp Fiction. Pulp Fiction.
I've never seen Pulp Fiction.
Well,
so I don't know not adult, but R-rated superstar Bruce Willis, because the third Die Hard is PG-13. I just know like fun Bruce Willis.
You know that? No, the third Die Hard is PG-13 or the fourth one?
The whatever the one like 2009.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it is, but that would make me sad.
Like the most like serious movie I guess Armageddon. I saw Armageddon. I don't remember much of Armageddon. I like Unbreakable. That was fun.
I know you like Unbreakable.
Red's
a good movie, but yeah, he's old. Like, I mean, there's a funny
Disney's The Kid.
There's a funny like joke about like whether or not to see a Bruce Willis movie, because if he has hair, it's bad. If he doesn't, it's good, right? But that they mean that in the contemporary setting, right? They don't mean that back in Die Hard 1, because that was his real hair back then, you know, like that.
G.I. Joe 2?
He actually did have hair. G.I. Joe 2, he did not have hair, right?
No, he was
Eventually,
bald.
eventually, he just got rid of the hair. Yeah,
Yeah.
but this is a funny conversation we're having here.
I don't think I haven't seen Sin City. I've seen Sin City 2, I believe.
Have you seen
Uh,
Four Rooms? I'm just kidding. Or just curious. Just curious.
which one's Four Rooms?
Um, it's the one with Tim Roth as is it Tim Roth as the bellhop, and they're directed by 4 different directors. One of them's like Robert Rodriguez. One's Quentin Tarantino.
No.
You've never seen Four Rooms. Yeah, you've
No.
clearly never seen Four Rooms. He's in the Quentin Tarantino one, kind of like, after he did Pulp Fiction. He was kind of hanging out there for a little bit. In any case, if you've never seen Look Who's Talking, that's a pretty good movie too. But yeah, Moonlighting was a series that went from 1985 to 1989, and yeah, that was everything before that was like TV for him. Or I mean, everything before Die Hard. But I'm losing track of where I wanted to go with this. Tell me what, like, did you see anything in this movie that made you think of other things that have come since then?
Not really. I mean, my big takeaway when watching this was like seeing, I guess, the iconic scenes play out. So like I'd seen pictures of him in the vents, right? But I had no context for that. Or when Hans falls off the building, or yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. Like those are things I just know, but I never had context for what they were, and I think they're more subtle. They're more subtle than that, what I was expecting, and I kind of liked it for that because it wasn't like this grandiose. He's playing, like, they call him the cowboy, right? As they joke with the radio, but he's not.
When he asks him who are you? Like, are you you're not Rambo? Are you John Wayne? Are you just playing the cowboy? Like, and he said, I always admired
there's a cheese to his character, but it's not like machismo, right?
Yeah.
It's just, he's just cool. He's
cool in fairness, by today's standards, it still is machismo. But you know what I mean? Back then it was a different kind of machismo.
He's not like, I'm just gonna beat the shit out of you. It's like, I'm gonna
he barely won a lot of his fights too.
Yeah,
like he barely won, and I think that was kind of a refreshing thing, but I think it's interesting that you said there's a lot more context than you expected, right? Like, I think that's kind of the beauty of the whole movie, right? Like, I think you and I have both seen a countless number of action movies where henchmen just die all the time. But have you ever seen an action movie where the henchmen really seem to care about each other? Like,
they gave good motive, right? Like, there's like, he killed the brother, and like there's good logic for it, and there's not a ton of them. Like,
there's not a ton, so you get to know them, right? You get to know,
like, there's 12 bad guys.
You get to know the guy that, like, he's all ready to go, so he's like, I'm gonna eat these candy bars, right? Like, it's like,
I will say this though, the two things that lost me during the movie in terms of like disbelief, the Argyle getting trapped in the bottom of the thing, like, I just don't see a world where you're just not aware of like your surroundings in that situation. I mean, but I can live with it. He was jamming out.
He wasn't just jamming.
He was bumping some Stevie.
He was drinking. He was at least drinking a lot of alcohol back there. Like,
yes.
But yeah, fine. I honestly think I kind of forget about Argyle through most of the movie.
Like, he's just kind of like there and just pops back up.
Yeah.
The second part though is, first, like, when he comes, when the fire department starts coming and he sees them, he's like cheering, like, they're coming.
Yeah.
Like, and they start turning around. Like he had a gun at that point. I would just start shooting at the trucks. Is that bad?
Well, don't shoot at trucks. Don't no.
Well,
Yeah, that's really
he
bad.
has
That's
good
really bad.
aim, but like
No, no, no,
get
no.
their attention. And then, but on the flip side, he goes back on top of the building, right, to like scope out. If you shoot a gun on the top of a building, someone's gonna call the cops on you.
But not necessarily. I mean, like it's far away from everybody. It's Christmas. It's Christmas, so a lot of
Century City.
people are not just walking around that area at the time. You know what I mean? But
I don't know.
Like that's what I kind of like when Officer Powell shows up, and from far away while he's driving there, he can kind of see the light show up in the roof, right? Like he sees something, but he doesn't know what it is. He not quite yet, you know. And so like, but yeah, I think my wife was watching it again, and she's like, how did they not hear the guns? Like, and I'm like,
Yeah.
when they're in like on the 30th floor shooting each other, and they're down on the first floor, and I was like, because it's 30 floors, dude. Like it's 30 floors of insulation. It's not necessarily you're not going to hear a gun 30 floors up. You're not. Like if the windows are all blown out, maybe, you know, but like but in any case, I can live with your nitpicks because I think those are pretty small compared to some of the nitpicks you've had for movies before. I think yeah, my favorite thing rewatching it at, you know, whenever I do rewatch it is like you really start feeling a little bit for these henchmen. Like I know they're bad guys, but like, man, when the one brother is like trying to like desperately like cut the phone wires like with his own way, and then the older one just shows up with the chainsaw and cuts them all,
Yeah.
and he's like, and he just kind of like makes fun of his brother, you know, like I kind of feel bad for them later, you know, and I do kind of you know, on the rewatch, it's really funny because the oldest, you know, like you know, henchman in charge, like the one that lasts almost to the end of the movie, he's kind of responsible for a lot of the f ups, right? Like because he gets on this crazy vengeance quest, and like
Oh yeah.
if he had just listened to Hans, he could have locked John McClane in the elevator shaft, and he would have never been a problem ever again, right? But he wanted to kill
wanted
this
that like
man.
revenge. Yeah.
He want, and then even when he finally gets him, like he has a gun to his face. Next thing you know, they're fist fighting, and it's like, what are you doing, bro? You could have just killed the guy that killed your brother, you know? So like, so he kind of had it coming, right? Like he kind of like, but other than that, I feel like, you know, all of those henchmen, they seem to have like history with each other. Like they had the one guy that's in charge of pretending to be the guard down at on the first floor, and they chose that guy because that guy can deliver the mother of all American accents when he needs to, right? Like when he just starts, that was pretty impressive, right? Like, and then I don't know if you know, but like the scene where, you know, because Hans Gruber kind of does the same thing when he first meets John, right? He fakes an American accent. I'm gonna say he does it well, but he doesn't do it as good as the guy down on the first floor, right? Like, no. I like when I hear him, I'm like, I still hear Hans. But I read a really cool trivia fact about that scene. They did not rehearse that scene together because they wanted it to be, you know, they wanted it to feel real, like natural and stuff like that. So they didn't, you know, they didn't know how they were going to react off of each other until they're doing the scene, you know? So, I almost feel like Bruce Willis would be like, bro, what's up with your accent? Like, but,
is that what we sound like?
Yeah. Is that what you think we sound like? That's so rude. But yeah, I don't know if you've ever seen, so you said you've seen Die Hard 3 or no?
No, maybe 4. I think it's 4.
Yeah. Okay. Because Die Hard with a Vengeance. If you liked this Die Hard, I recommend it.
That's what I've seen.
Die Hard with a Vengeance is also rated R, just so you know. I think that's why I stopped watching Die Hard movies. at when Live Free or Die Hard came out, because then they started making them for a different audience, right? But
There's only two more. There only one more after that one.
yeah, but the thing is do you know the premise of Die Hard with a Vengeance?
No.
It takes place in New York. It's the first Die Hard movie to take place in New York, I believe. And it's somebody is targeting John McClane, and like with like bombs. They're like bombing places, and they rope this poor civilian guy into it. It's played by Sam Jackson, who just kind of gets mixed into the whole thing by circumstance. And so Sam Jackson and John McClane are trying to like, they're being led all over New York City by this guy. And as the story progresses, you find out it's Hans Gruber's brother.
Ooh.
Yeah. And so it's really cool because he's played by Jeremy Irons, who is also an amazing actor.
That's pretty good.
Probably a better actor than Alan Rickman. Arguably, I think Jeremy Irons has more Oscars than Alan Rickman ever. I don't think Alan Rickman ever won an Oscar.
No.
But so yeah, they go all out with it. They decided to make it an actual real sequel story that matters. So like that's why that one is a lot of people's other favorite one, because it rewards you for watching Die Hard 1, right? Because if you know Hans Gruber, then you know that, and you know like Hans Gruber's people, then you know that they hold grudges, right? Like they definitely hold grudges. That's in the canon of that movie. As you watched it, it was very clear they hold grudges. So but yeah, I highly recommend that one. You can totally skip 2. Like 2 is just kind of like did you ever watch 24?
No, I wanted to, but I was too young.
Yeah, so the
Michael
idea
Chiklis. Wasn't 24 supposed to be set in Die Hard? No, that's not Michael Chiklis. That's the Shield. 24 yeah. Kiefer. Right? Yes.
Okay. Kiefer. So the premise of that show is it's in real time. You're watching everything as it plays out for 24 episodes that are all 1 hour long, minus commercials, right? So they skip a few minutes every now and then for commercials and stuff. I have 2 problems with 24. One being, dude never goes to the bathroom. Like, yeah, ever. He just never goes to the bathroom for 24 hours. Like that is impossible. You can't do that. You gotta do it sometime. And I'm just like,
wait, there's 8 seasons of 24.
There you go. There's my second problem with 24. When I watched the first season of 24, I was like, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen on television that's never been done. And then they announced season 2. And
does he sleep?
No, dude. He doesn't sleep. He barely eats. He doesn't go to the bathroom. He just happens to get roped into crazy terrorist Homeland Security situations that always start and end in the span of 24 hours. And it's kind of weird and dumb. And it the more it happens to him, the less believable it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's how I feel about the Die Hard franchise. Like,
well, yeah.
You know what I mean?
I can see how like he's not like a. I think that's where the super 80s action star thing is a plus, because you can just run that shit to the ground, right? Because that's what they are.
Yeah.
But when you have a regular guy, it makes it weird.
Yes. So like the first one lives in its own special place because it's almost believable. It's almost believable. I still have to suspend some disbelief when I watch Die Hard, because you're watching it and you're thinking like, dude, he's just a cop in New York City. Like, he should not be trying to do all this shit. You know what I mean? Like, that's way out of his pay grade.
Reading Miranda rights.
Yeah. Like, so it's cool. It's cool. You accept it because it's, like, I think what helps you accept it is Powell, played by Reginald Val Johnson, who we all know as Carl Winslow on Family Matters. I I think he does a great job of reminding the audience and the other cops like the situation that John McClane is in, right? He's all alone, he's tired, no one's there to help him. We got to look out for this poor guy because he's just trying to do everything he can. You know, he has some really good, cool moments where he's kind of expositioning to you, hey, put yourself in this guy's shoes or missing shoes for that matter, you know, because like what he's going through is unheard of. Like it's just unrealistic.
No, they put him. He put him through. I did love his character. A lot of cheese for me, but I did appreciate at the end he gets his moment.
Yeah,
he's redeemed for
a
shooting.
Story arc, right? Yeah. I thought that was really cool. I think like everybody has a story.
They all
arc.
do, like the news people,
even the cokehead asshole like that's at the party.
Yeah,
that guy has an arc. You know, I just want to point out that guy dies drinking a Coke. Like he starts the movie. You meet him. He's doing Coke, or no?
Is that your meta commentary?
Oh no. When you first meet him, he's full on sexually harassing John's wife, and then later when John meets him, the guy's doing Coke, and then he has this whole like master plan to pretend to be John McClane's best friend, convince Hans Gruber that he's got this, and they serve him a Coke. It's like product placement. They like full on pour him a Coke. And then as he's drinking it, he just gets murdered. That's pretty.
I was more fascinated. There's multiple shots of a Ralph's grocery store that is still there to this day. I looked it up on the map.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. Did you know that building that serves as Nakatomi Plaza was actually a 20th Century Fox building? And
Plaza.
Yeah, and so they were using it like they were paying rent to themselves to use it for the movie. And they were, you know, only a few of the floors were actually being used at the time. So like they were trying to film the movie sometimes during the day, but eventually all the scenes with gunfire, they had to wait till everybody went home at night because they were complaining about all the gun noises.
I could be wrong. I think I read somewhere that this movie, they had a hard time shopping it around, but it essentially paid for itself, right?
And then some, right? Yeah. Oh, I'm sure I'm pretty sure this movie made a ton of money at the time because
like it paid. I think what was it? It paid for itself. No, I'm thinking of Pulp Fiction. Pulp Fiction paid for itself before it was even released, just through the sale of the movie. Sorry.
Fair enough.
Bruce Willis tangent.
Yes. But you've never even seen that movie. That's so funny.
I know the facts.
Yeah. Did Yippee-ki-yay motherfucker pay off for you?
It wasn't like, again, it wasn't I think people like say it now like it's some type of like battle cry, but it kind of isn't. He's just kind of, it's just how he ends his like that line of dialogue. And it's not like it's not punchy or it's not.
And then when Hans Gruber says it, and it sounds so wrong when he says it too, right? Like
but it's not like it doesn't hit the same as like I'll be back.
Right, because he's delivering it as a real person, right? Like like everything about it, like you said, everything about it has been taken out of context so much that it's really funny to see it in context because it's all way more believable in context, you know, like
totally.
So but what's funny is as the movies keep going and they keep adding more and more in the franchise, it becomes a parody of itself, right? Like the longer it goes, like it doesn't even remember the reality that it lived in when the first movie happened. And that's what I think is really funny about the Die Hard franchise. So like I won't even say 3 is as good as 1. 3 is passable. 3 is fun because it's got a sequel that ties into the first. But each one that happens after the first one, you have to suspend more disbelief. You have to be like, okay, fine.
Man, I wish we would have played Call of Duty back in like 2 years ago because there was a John McClane skin and Nakatomi Plaza was in Call of Duty.
That's funny. That's funny. Well, I will say this: if you've never seen, there's some excellent parodies of this. There is a Sunny in Philadelphia parody of Die Hard
Game
where
over, man. Right?
where Danny DeVito is sweaty, crawling around in a wife beater or a tank top. I think we're not supposed to call them wife beaters, even though everybody knows that's what they're called. Um, he's crawling around in a tank top with no shoes on in an air vent. It's hilarious. I highly recommend that. Game Over Man is probably the best full on parody I've ever seen. You've seen that movie?
No, I've seen parts. I've seen the first like 20 minutes.
That movie would hit you different if you watch it now. I promise. It's really good. I can't believe you only see the first 20 minutes of it. I love that
I think
movie.
I saw it with you.
Oh yeah, I think I showed it to you, but I think we probably stopped it when I found out you'd never seen Die Hard. I think
Probably
that's
why.
probably what happened. Yeah, I think that's probably what happened. Highly recommend you go back and watch that one sometime. There's also a really good Rick and Morty episode where Summer is in a Die Hard situation, but she's never seen Die Hard. So everybody keeps asking her if she's doing a Die Hard, and she's like, I don't know what that is. But she's doing all the natural things that John McClane would do because he doesn't know how to be an action hero, right? Like, so Summer's doing a Die Hard through the whole episode. It's so funny.
It's pretty funny.
Yeah, you should see that one. It's really good. And then there's another one. I can't remember what it is, but yeah, it's just such an iconic movie, and that's why I really wanted you to watch it. So I'm glad you liked it, man.
I'm happy I watched it. I really I know these retro movies you have me watch.
They're not all good, but
they're not all winners. But this one was fun, and it's fun. It was cool to see, to be exposed to prime Bruce Willis.
That was prime Bruce Willis, and also I just always appreciate practical effects too. So it's nice to like.
Oh yeah, it looked nice. Good. The model building, the helicopter crash, and it all looked good.
I also love the FBI agents to just show up in the last like 20 minutes of the movie and just decide they're the cowboys of the story, and they just totally shit the bed, man. They just like completely do everything that the terrorists wanted them to do, and then some, and then when they die, I guess we're gonna have to get ourselves some more FBI guys out here. Like that's what the cops say. That's so terrible. But yeah, it's good. So thank you for going on that journey with me. I appreciate it. I'm glad you liked it.
That was a fun one. Man, yeah, we do have to talk about, because what do we got coming up? Aquaman 2. And What If season 2. That's kind of the big.
Oh yeah, What If's right after Aquaman, huh?
They start on the same day. But
well, we're watching Die Hard. Or I mean, Aquaman. We're not gonna do the thing.
Well,
we're not gonna do. We'll figure out how we're gonna do the What If content, but it's not gonna be. Does it start on a Friday?
Yeah.
We're not gonna do it that week because that's not gonna be cool. We'll figure out how to do Aquaman, because at least on Aquaman you can go see it on Wednesday night.
We can maybe commit to a Wednesday Aquaman and do a show Friday.
Yeah, that's probably possible. Yes, but I agree.
Well, I would say that was a tight hour show. We usually run longer.
Well, you had dumb news, and then you just wanted to go straight into it. You made me think you weren't going to like this movie. Which
I liked it. I trust me. I did not think I was going to like this movie.
Okay.
But I really want to go back now and watch Predator, because I don't really remember Predator. The first one.
I'm going to tell you this: John McTiernan peaked with Die Hard. Like Predator and Die Hard are two strong movies but
I've
I
never
had
seen
a
Predator 2. Is that
so you know what? I think you have the context now that's really cool.
mhm.
I love Predator 2 because it feels more real, like Die Hard. Do you know what I mean?
Did he
Like,
direct
because
Predator 2?
no, I don't think he
Okay.
did. But the idea that Danny Glover is a cop in LA,
New York cops, or it's an LA
LA.
cop, or
It's in LA. It's in LA. Yeah. He's an LA cop that is, trying to he's like he's in the middle of a giant gang war, right? That's going on. And the Predator is hunting these gang members, like of different rival gangs. And so he's the cop that's arriving on these scenes, you know, and seeing these
post
massacres.
Predator? Yeah.
Yeah, and so he's trying to figure out what's going on in his city, and eventually it leads to a confrontation, right? And it feels more like a John McClane situation than an Arnold Schwarzenegger situation. And so like him getting out by the skin of his teeth kind of thing, So um I always liked, like, I'm not going to say I don't like Predator. I mean, Predator is like the most manly movie ever. It's like it is just manly as F, but like I think there's something really charming about the idea of an everyman kind of person having to go up against a predator, and they build a lot more lore into it. Like there's actually a moment I think in the movie where the predator, like I think Danny Glover's partner is a woman,
Mhm.
and the predator is about to like fight this woman, and then he leaves, and then you find out later in the movie, you find out maybe in that moment or later, she's pregnant, and the predator has like,
The little,
it has rules,
yeah,
like
yeah.
it has rules.
They're not dumb. They're what
Yeah,
is it? What do they call? What are the predators called? What's their name?
I don't
Yautjas?
I don't know, but I like, there's a lot more lore that gets added
Yeah,
to the
yeah.
Predator
Well, yeah.
universe,
And then
and
at
so
the end, I've seen the ending of Predator 2, and
yeah.
that's when like the mind,
it,
like you see the alien skull, right, and the
yeah, yeah, yeah,
pistol. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah,
and the pistol, which ties into Prey, right? Like
yeah.
it's the same pistol from Prey, yeah, which
Mhm.
that doesn't make
It's
sense to
supposed to
me,
be
but
Blackbeard's pistol, and it was Blackbeard's pistol for a long time in the comics.
oh, okay, that's cool.
Um,
But yeah, so I think if you liked Die Hard, go watch Predator 1 and then go watch Predator 2 with that mindset of like, this is more like the Die Hard, like it's like the first one's a Schwarzenegger movie all the way through. The second one is like if it was Bruce Willis or something, so it's two flavors, I think what's really funny is this movie propelled Bruce Willis to be an action star at the same level as Arnold, and it's so funny because Bruce Willis, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and Sylvester Stallone became really good friends in Hollywood, and they ended up opening Planet Hollywood, the restaurant, together. They are the three co-owners of Planet Hollywood.
really? Oh, I
You
didn't
didn't
know
know
that.
that? You didn't know that? Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
So yeah, that's how Planet Hollywood came to be.
interesting.
Yeah, because
Oh, well,
they were
they
like the
don't exist
three.
anymore.
No, I know, but they were the three biggest action stars of that time. You know what I mean? And like, and that's so funny, and it's so funny, and when they would do like openings for their restaurants, and you'd see the three of them standing together. One of those things does not look like the other, but like, but you can't knock Bruce Willis for doing the damn thing, right? He's taken the jobs that uh that those other two left behind, right? Like they left he's taking the table scraps, but he's making the most of it. So I think it's a cool thing. But yeah, there you go. Fun trivia about Hollywood.
Yeah, I'm set. I never I love Planet Hollywood, the ones that I've been to. There's one at the LA airport still.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they don't have anything to do with those restaurants anymore, but like they were the original of investors when those first came out. Like
Wow.
they were the face of those
Yeah, yeah,
restaurants.
yeah,
You
yeah.
know what I mean? Yeah, like so. But anyways, that's fun random trivia for our audience. I'm full of that random crap. But thank you for listening to us talk about Die Hard and some other
Yes.
stuff for a while. You can look forward or not look forward to us talking about Aquaman next week, depending on how you feel. And
I guess we're committing to that. So yes.
We did. We committed on the show. That got decided. We're doing the thing.
Fuck.
We're gonna do
All
it.
right.
You said fuck. You loved that movie back in the day.
I love that scene. I just remember I love the Pitbull scene.
You know, in fairness, I fell asleep when I watched that movie in theaters, so I get to watch it for the second time ever in my life.
That movie,
I've never watched it again.
Ends, and then there's like another hour of that movie left.
Yeah, I feel that. I'm not excited because I do hate Tamora Morrison, and I know that he's a decent part of that movie. So boo. Oh well.
Yeah. Well, anyways, thank you everyone for sticking around for this show. Tune in next week for Aquaman. Happy Hanukkah. And with that, true believers. Enough said. Oh man, I lost the video. Enough said.